Hello. Oh my God, was that too enthusiastic? Is that how Heartstopper makes me feel? Okay, everybody. Hello. Good morning, afternoon, or evening. My name is Jord, and this is the Winning Side Podcast, Heartstopper edition. I'm doing something slightly different because, well, I love this show. I love this show, and I wanted to dedicate like a longer length of time for it. It's really weird. My relationship with Heartstopper is it's the only show I believe that I've actually like binged within like such a short space of time, like after the release. So I believe Heartstopper. So at the moment it is Friday the 4th of October in West London. Heartstopper came out yesterday. I literally set an alarm to wake up earlier than I would and just binged it for the whole day because I thought I want to deliver to the people. Do you get it? So that's what we're doing. So yeah, I basically just want to talk about Heartstopper the show, my thoughts, and yeah, pretty much that. Join the crazy crew. Thank you for joining me. Do you know what it is? I feel like I know it's like no longer than any other regular series or my phone. Yeah, I know it's not like. I know like the wait isn't any longer than any other season or series like anything else, but I think because I watched Heartstopper so early on when waiting for the following season feels literally like a lifeline. And I think because now I've also done the same thing again, like it's gonna feel like another like God knows how long until I watch season 4. But how do I go about this? I mean, like it was very like I think one thing I'm really happy about with Heartstopper is it's like kept the like cutesy wholesome vibe, you know, like it's really interesting because I see it a lot online when people say, oh, Heartstopper is so unrealistic, it's so cringe, it's so cute, and all of that. But like the thing is, yeah, I just feel like more time than not, queer love can be quite difficult to navigate. So like for me, it's like, can you please just let me live in cuckoo land for a few hours and let me just live through Charlie and Nick? And obviously Ellen, Tao, and Tara, and Darcy, and all the others in between, you know? So I'm really, because I feel like a lot of the time when a show gets so big, it kind of like neglects the traits or the vibe or the energy which it had initially. And I'm really glad that Heartstopper has managed to maintain that, whilst also maturing and keep making the themes a bit more suited to the audience. Because obviously, I remember someone saying how like the audience has grown with them, and naturally the stories do, and so does the relationships, and so on and so on. But it's been really interesting to see how they've been able to keep the energy whilst also having more mature conversations, such as like eating disorders, sexual intimacy, mental health, and probably like, and I would also say like a deeper dive into trans issues as well. I think this is the first season where we've really seen more visible, somewhat issues about Elle's experience as a trans woman. But yeah, we'll get into it. There's so much to talk about. I don't know if I can even fit in everything that I want to talk about, but I'm going to try my very best. But yeah, okay, so if I talk about what I love about this season the most, I love the purity. I love the sweetness. I love the somewhat cringiness. Like, I enjoy seeing young queer love. I enjoy seeing young queer people do interact for the first time and have like the simple things that so many of us wish we had. I'm 25 years old, believe it or not. I'm 25 years old. And I always think to myself, having Heartstopper when I was 16 could have made my life a whole lot better. Like I feel like we're in, and I do get it because a lot of people, what's the word? A lot of people find watching shows like Heartstopper quite triggering because they weren't able to have that experience, or they weren't given the allowance to have that experience. But I've tried really hard to look at it from a different perspective and think, do you know what? I may have not been able to have moved that way when I was 16 years old, 16, 17, which is unfortunate and it's not ideal. However, I'm really I'm really glad that I can see it for other people, because just because I didn't get to experience it, why should the younger people not get to? And it's crazy because I'm 25 and like I'm like young, even though I don't feel it most of the time. I am like a young person, and I think, do you know what? At least I'm getting to see this in somewhat kind of youth. There are people hitting 40 that like this came out when they were like 38. Do you know what I mean? So like you have to look at it that way. But obviously, big up to the older people as well, because they need to see love too. You know, it's not all about youngsters. One thing that I really, really, really loved is the fact that like it's really nice to not see queer love so heavily sexualized from the jump. I find so often that like when you watch these shows, like queer love is initiated by sex and sexual intimacy, and like kind of lacks connection and like having conversation and all of that. I think because I believe Charlie and Nick had like multiple occasions when they tried to get frisky and it wasn't successful. And I believe it must have been about 8 or 9 months from when they got together that they actually first had sex, which, to be honest, like any like media portrayal of queer people just doesn't happen. Do you know what I mean? So I'm really happy to see that. And the same with Elle and Tao. Elle and Tao, they was it the New Year's party? I want to say the New Year's party. Comment if I've got it wrong. And they had been together for multiple months as well. And I just think I'm really happy to like kind of move away from that negative rep that we have to like be so promiscuous and need immediate sexual affection and intimacy. Do you know what I mean? It's not the case. I actually have so many queer friends that would never move like that. Not that it matters, obviously you do you, but like I think it's really important to not have that as the main narrative. And I think Heartstopper have done a really, really good, how do I word it? Like a really, really good presentation of that. I've also really enjoyed like how natural coming out is for these characters. Like I find even in like older shows which have gay characters or queer characters even, coming out is such a dramatic, excessive experience. And like realistically, more time than not, people don't want that. People want it to be like very low level, very tame. Obviously, like big up to those who want to have like a dramatic coming out celebration. That is completely in your own need and want, and you should be entitled to do that if you wish to. However, I think a lot of the time, like people don't want a dramatic coming out. They just want it to be normal and natural, you know. I really loved the scene with Isaac where he was at the zoo aquarium for Nick's birthday, and then he mentioned it then, and he was like, "Oh, sometimes you just don't want to do this or that with anybody." And then he was like, does that make sense? And I think Tara went, "Yeah, Isaac, that makes sense." And everyone just looked at him and smiled and nodded and acknowledged how much they loved him and cared for him. And I thought it doesn't need to be this massive thing, but it can be if you want it to be, but it doesn't have to be. And the same with this. I loved this scene. I think it was the last episode with Nick and Imogen when they're sharing a room when they've gone on that uni tour, and Imogen is saying to Nick about how she doesn't really like boys that much. In fact, she doesn't like boys at all. But really interesting how even though she is a very queer woman, she mentions how she wanted like a boyfriend and male attention. And I think that really proves, I think Imogen is a really clear example that like even sometimes queer women can seek male validation. And I think that's just the way the world works, annoyingly, like because more time than not, because men happen to be at the top, like they are the most valued. And even as a woman who doesn't even seem to be into men that much, if at all, to be honest, they're still a priority. And I just, yeah. So like I haven't read the comics or the books. It's really interesting because I see like a lot of things online and like they'll be like, "Oh my God, like don't spoil it. But like, I mean, I haven't read the books, but I have a gist of a lot of the things that happened. Like, I think more people on Chronically Online were aware of what was going to happen to Charlie in this season. And I just think that it's so difficult. I can only imagine how difficult it must be. One, to get the research right for doing this. One, two, for acting it appropriately, and three, also, and three, because it's Heartstopper. I think there's also the finding the midpoint of like having this really important conversation about this really crucial condition, but also keeping the lightheartedness and the love that made people fall for Heartstopper in the first place. I think Charlie's eating disorder, trigger warning, Charlie's eating disorder has always been very visible throughout all 3 seasons. I think it became more clear in 2. I don't think in season 1 it was really spoken about. It was just kind of like a few looks here and there. But I just think he always tends to wear very baggy clothes. Minimal times do you actually see him eat anything, and if he does, it's very like a bite or two, and then he'll, kind of like do what he does. And I think joelocke did it justice. I think joelocke did it very well. I think some more times than not, it's very hard and difficult to always recognize men that have eating disorders, because a lot of the research primarily is centered and focused on women. And I think joelocke did a great job at it. And I think having to watch, I think also one thing that I thought was really, really interesting, I don't know if interesting is the right word, but really engaging, is the fact that like how this Charlie's condition really affected the whole family. Like obviously Nick is really struggling to come to terms with it, and I think Nick is the one who probably catches on first. Probably Tori as well, Charlie's sister. She was really in touch with it as well, I'd say. And then I think a few friends noticed it, but like weren't too certain on what the issue was. And then I don't think Charlie's parents were really with it at all, to be honest. I think they were actually quite oblivious, but that's for later on. But no, and I think joelocke did a really good job. The scene where Kit is away and Charlie is unable to eat his food, and he's led by the door, and he's on the phone to Kit saying, "I think you're right. I think I do have an eating disorder." It just broke my heart. Like, and see, their chemistry is so, I mean, I know they're very close friends, but their chemistry is just so good, and it just so naturally flows. And I think he did a really good job, a really good way of representing. I'm really proud of joelocke, and I think he deserves his flowers. And I think he's going to, even though obviously joelocke is a very famous and very talented man, I think this is really going to push him into even further levels than he was already. So I'm really happy for him, really pleased for him, because it's so well deserved. So well deserved. I really love how Heartstopper has created this narrative, or how Heartstopper has communicated how like queer love is still very present in people who are older. Because I think more than not, when you watch like a romance or a show which has queer characters and them falling in love, they're always like bare young. They're always like really young. And I think Heartstopper is really good at showing how you can find love later in life, like Mr. AJ and Mr. Farouk, And I just think for people who may not have had that experience to have that high school romance or that high school sweetheart, because let's be honest, it's not always easy if you're queer. I think it gives us hope. It gives us hope, and it teaches us that like just because you may not be a young twink, that's no reason as to why you still can't find your happy ending or your person, And I just think I'm really glad that the Heartstopper team have put in Mr. AJ and Mr. Farouk, because I just think it's so important to communicate that like just because you're not young or like younger, it doesn't mean that you can't not find love as a gay person. So Can I just say, I honestly think the best character in Heartstopper is Tori, right? I think that Jenny Walser is absolutely incredible. I think she's the best actress on the show. The way that she is able to convey so much emotion without even saying anything is a skill that not many people have. You know, I think the way that Tori devotes all her time to Charlie and the way that she has such unconditional love for him is so beautiful to see. And I think it really shows. And one thing I really like to see in the show, even though Charlie has a lot of severe mental health problems, it's so nice to see that he has a really strong support system. I don't think I've ever had any doubts that he doesn't have that, but obviously he has his wonderful sister. He has Tao, and Tao's gotten better with time, not so much in season 1. He's had Tao and Isaac, obviously the girls, Darcy, and Tara and Imogen. You know, he has, and Kit, obviously. Not Kit, sorry, Joe. Not Kit, not Joe. Oops. Not Kit, not Joe. Nick Nelson. So I'm really happy to see that. But no, I think Tori is the best character without a doubt. I'm really enjoying how she's got her own narrative now. I'm enjoying that she has a relationship, not a relationship, because I think Tori has spent so much time being concerned and being cautious and vigilant about Charlie. She hasn't really allowed herself to have her own like enjoyment and fun. And I think with Michael, she has that. They're on like a very similar level. And I just love for Tori. I think Jenny Walser is incredible, and I really want to see her in more like bigger roles in other shows and films, because she really does deserve the most, without a doubt. I think she's great. I think she is great. I also really the one thing, I mean, I guess it's kind of obvious, but the one thing that I'm really loving is I love how the relationships are so like reassuring and so validating. Like there isn't a relationship from the main cast that I see in that show and I have doubts about. I think Charlie and Nick love each other unconditionally. Same with Tao and Elle. Same with Darcy and Tara, you know? And it's also been really nice to see Darcy her journey as well as a non-binary person, and how friends have just been so supportive and loving from the jump. I think it's such a wonderful friendship group. There's so much love and so much joy. And I always think to myself, I'm like, geez, it's actually kind of funny because I actually do have a queer group of friends, right? Just none of us were out at school. I remember saying this to my friend not too long back, and I thought, God, imagine how much easier our lives would have been if we had have all been upfront with each other. But this was like 10 years ago. Things were very different. So, yeah. Okay. Criticisms. I actually do not like Charlie's mum at all. Like, I actually don't like her at all. And I know that probably sounds very pessimistic, but I'm just being honest. Like, even when... I just think she's quite like abrupt, unnecessarily abrupt. And I think the way that she speaks to Charlie is just completely unnecessary. And I love Tori because she always stands up for him. She's like, you don't need to be this way. I think Tori obviously has a better insight to what Charlie's like. And she's very aware that like, if you treat him like this, like he's only going to behave even worse and act out even worse. So I think Tori's obviously very protective of her brother, because in her head she's thinking, Mum, the more that you push him, the more that he's going to disrupt. But yeah, I don't like Charlie's mum, I'll be honest. Even when she was trying to be good, I didn't like her. I just thought, even at that point, I thought, no, not really messing with it, to be honest. But I do like the dad, but the dad doesn't say nothing. But yeah, I don't like Charlie's mum. Sorry. One thing I will say is we need Nick's mum. Like, I really wish they had a thought of an alternative, because even her not being there on Christmas Day just didn't make sense. Do you know what I mean? It did not make sense. Even if like the mum had to go, even if you had it written in the storyline, the mum had to like go away and look after someone or do like a work project or something, and then the aunt lived with Nick, that would have made more sense. But like, it just makes no sense how like there's 8 episodes and he's in this house so much as a 16-year-old boy and his mum just wasn't there. Even the brother, no one messes with the brother. I know that obviously Olivia Colman wasn't available. I get that, and I really hope if there's a God that she's in season 4. But yeah, she just there should have been some alternative or some storyline saying basically that my mum was away, she's sick, she's not available. But to like, yeah, it just didn't work. I personally just didn't think it worked, in my opinion. To be honest, I would have liked to have seen more of a knock-on effect of Elle and Tal's relationship. Because like initially, prior to Elle going to the new school, it was very like Tal was like very like persistent to make her have the best summer ever. And even for like the first day, she was like, oh, Elle's doing this, Elle's doing that. But we don't really get to see the difficulty of their relationship, because Elle seems to always be there. Like, she's not absent. Do you know what I mean? And I just think like it would have been really cool, because for some reason, I don't know why I think this, but I thought Elle and Tal broke up. I don't know where I read it or saw it. And it would have been really cool for them to have covered the difficulties of the long distance and the effects it had on either of them. But like, they just always seemed to be together, so it just didn't really work, in my opinion. But yeah. I also feel like at a few points even, we don't really get to like see Nick as an individual. I feel like Nick's whole character and personality is based on like being Charlie's support system, which I get because he's his boyfriend, but like I don't think that about Charlie. Like when I think of Charlie, I think Charlie, like, he loves drumming. He has a really cool group of friends who have now become Nick's friends, but they were his friends before. And yeah, when I think of Nick, all I can think of is that he's a rugby player and he loves Charlie. Like, there isn't really much, and maybe I've just interpreted it wrong, but there isn't really much development, you know? Like, he's such a sweet, loving character, but like there's not much about him that like that's distinctively him. Like, do you mean his whole life is Charlie? Even when like he's looking at unis and he really likes Lee's uni, and all the girls like, Nick, if you like it, go for it. And then Nick basically says he doesn't know who he is without Charlie. And I think, well, you need to go to that uni for way to figure it out, you know? And I don't know, I'm excited. I'm hopeful and excited to see Nick more as his own being and person in season 4, because I do think that we didn't really get that energy and vibe in season 3. I think it was just basically about being Charlie's support system, which I completely get because of the circumstances. However, it would have been really nice to have seen what Nick likes to do as an individual. But my favourite scene is on episode 8, and it's the part where Michael has asked Tori if she would like to be his girlfriend, and obviously she panics and runs off, and Charlie goes to confront her, asks her what's up, so then they go on the Ferris wheel. And then I've really enjoyed seeing a vulnerable side to Tori. Again, Jenny killed it. But I've really enjoyed seeing a vulnerable side to Tori. And it was basically hearing about how her life revolves around Charlie and her priority is Charlie. I don't think she wanted to have that title because she thinks if anything happens again to Charlie and she isn't present or around, she will feel responsible. And I think that sibling love is, it was such a beautiful scene. I loved it. And then Charlie is obviously reassuring her that he's better now. He's going to have slip-up days, but he's good, and he's got other people to help him as well as his sister. And I don't know, I just love their bond. I really enjoyed their relationship. I think Joe and Jenny their dynamic is incredible. And yeah, I really like seeing, how do I word it? Yeah, I just thought it was very subtle, very pleasing, and just very cute, because Heartstopper is cute, you know? I really enjoyed the last chat we see with the therapist, mainly because I like seeing Charlie happy, you know? I don't want to see my queers sad. I enjoy seeing Charlie happy, and I think this is not too long after him and Nick have started being intimate. And you can see, I think he feels happy to be physically close to him, which is so lovely to see. And then obviously Charlie shares his concerns with the therapist like he does. And there was this amazing thing the therapist said. The therapist said to Charlie, like, trauma doesn't define you. And I thought that was so beautiful. And it's true. Like, I think it can be really hard when you've had such a bad or difficult experience and you can't help but think that's a part of you. But it's really important to allow yourself space to grow and to move on without feeling any guilt for holding on to something or for not holding on to something. And I don't know, I like the therapist. I think he's very cool. I can't remember his name, to be honest, I'm not going to lie. I also really loved the scene on Halloween where Nick just breaks down and Tao comforts him for two reasons. I think one, because Tao hated Nick. Tao hated Nick when they first met. So for them to have that growth where like Tao will literally comfort him says a lot. And it's character progression. I think Tao's become a lot more. I don't think Tao was a likable character in season 1. If I'm being honest, I don't think he was a likable character. He switched up a lot in 2, and in 3 he's just wonderful. And I think it was so nice to see two people who care about Charlie so much comfort him, because you can tell that Nick is really struggling, because even though his friends are aware, I think Nick feels very heavily responsible for ensuring Charlie's recovery, and I think he just broke down. There's no other way of seeing it. And that scene really, I don't cry at things, but I was very, very close. Very, very close. But yeah, I thought that scene was great. They did a good job. kitconnor and Will Gorder, you did a good job, boys. Hats off to you. What I'm looking forward to next season, I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing Nick grow more as an individual, as well as growing with Charlie. I'm excited to see all of them pursue their interests and abilities and passions. It was really, so obviously it became quite apparent like late into the season how Tao really likes photography and like filmmaking, and I think that'll be a really fun thing to explore. Obviously, Elle had some hiccups with her experiences with, well, not so much with her art, just more with the interview. I'm excited to see Elle's art grow and her work and her craft. I'm excited to see Imogen explore her sexuality more. I'm excited for all of them to establish their relationships and grow as individuals and grow into passions and interests. I'm really excited to see the growth from all of them. And I really hope Olivia Colman's there. I'm looking forward to seeing Olivia Colman back on my screen. But no, to wrap up, I think Heartstopper is so pivotal to the culture. I think Heartstopper is so important for gay people of today, of any age. Having this show allows us to feel heard and seen. It allows us to have a sense of belonging, And I think even though we may not fit into that young demographic, for me, I still feel satisfied and fulfilled that younger people get to have what I didn't have. And that's fine. I'm cool with that. I'm enjoying the normalization of queerness. I'm enjoying the prominence and main characters for queerness. And I really love what Heartstopper's doing, and I cannot wait for season 4. Wow. So, yeah, I think I'm done here. There's a lot more I wanted to say, but I'm running out of time. But yeah, I just want to say that I hope you liked this. Thank you for watching. I enjoyed this a lot. If anyone ever has any other suggestions for shows or any reviews, please let me know. I'm really open to suggestions because that's what I'm here for as a creator and a podcaster and a talker, all of that. So yeah. My name is Jord Hailwood. This is the Winning Side Podcast, Heartstopper Season 3 edition. If you made it to the end, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. And thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a really good rest of your day.